have that song, Hannah, on that one CD I have. But I don't think I've listened to it in a while. I have it, yes I do, I have the song. Yes, I do have that one, but I can't remember the title of the CD, you know what I'm saying? But it's over there somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it is. Okay, so this morning, man, it was a freaking blast. And, I mean, I was just doing boring things, but it was still a blast. And, yeah, I don't know how the aliens do it, but I guess maybe, I don't know, they can make the energy feel so good, and then when you wake up, you feel like on top of the world. So all day, I've been feeling like on top of the world. Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but maybe it's just me, I don't know. But yeah, it was like so cool. Because like there for a while I was having all these Obe-Vr-lucid dreams, and then like I just feel weirded out and different when I'd wake up. You know? Like normally, like if they or he or whatever, if Joe comes to my bed and gives me a true out-of-body experience where he takes me that split second before I fall asleep, then yeah, those types normally I'll feel out of this world, you know, when I wake back up or whatever. But this was still out-of-body experience, but it wasn't flying, you know, but it was still out-of-body experience, virtual reality, very, very vivid. And but yeah, it was awesome. And so I'm trying to think, why oh yeah, well anyway, I've been to Joplin many times in Obe-Vr-lucid dreams, at least 3 other times, and a couple of those videos I think are on here on my channel. But yeah, so okay, so this experience, and like I say, I felt totally on top of the world, like all day long. And yeah, like I don't know, they're probably responsible for that, you know, like how you feel later after you wake up. But anyway, so basically, my coworker Nancy, she drove me to Joplin, and we actually got into the car, and then the next thing I know, you know, we're in like right on the first floor of the bank building, because the IRS in Joplin is on the 5th floor of the bank building. So the alien just took all these bits and pieces of information that I already knew, you know, about Joplin and stuff, and about the IRS, but I've never been there. And in real life, it's really kind of dirty and old. It's an old building, and they did tell me it kind of stunk. Like 2 of my coworkers said that it kind of stunk, and I'm thinking it probably kind of smelled musty or moldy, probably, most likely. But I don't think they really knew how to explain the smell. Like, so in real life, it probably just smells like an old musty building. But I don't really know because I've never been there. But I knew it was on the 5th floor and everything. And so okay, so it started out. She wanted to take me to Joplin. Well, I wanted to go too, simply because I just wanted to see what it looked like, because I've never been there. In real life, I've never been there, but in altered state, that's where the aliens took me this morning. Maybe Joel and a couple other aliens or whatever. Because I think sometimes they do get together and give me experiences, like a gray and a reptilian or whatever. But Joel probably gave me this experience. Sometimes it's just kind of hard to tell. But you know, when he, you know, because if he doesn't do like certain things, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, you know, because normally he does sexual things, but sometimes I know he does it and I still know it's him or whatever. But so this experience, I'm not sure if it was him that gave me the experience, but I'm always talking to him to give me the experiences. So it was probably him that gave it to me. Okay, so basically I wanted to go with my coworker and she didn't mind taking me, you know, to Joplin to see the place. And basically, she just wanted to go because she left a couple things up in her cubicle or whatever, you know, in that building. Okay, so we did actually an experience. We got into a car for like a couple seconds, and then the next thing I know, we're actually standing there on the first floor, you know, kind of in the middle of the bank building. And then I started smelling this really gross smell, really very vivid, pungent, gross smell. Because aliens already knew that I knew that it stunk. But only the first floor stunk. Up there at the IRS office, it did not stink. I mean, in real life it does, but in the scenario it didn't. So what the alien, what Joel was trying to copy off of was the bank building here. When I went to the bank a couple years ago, it had like a mechanical type of real nasty ass smell in there, strong mechanical, which I'm sure was, you know, like chemical smell as well, but it smelled more like a mechanical chemical kind of smell. And I went in there and it was muggy, and this was like 2 years ago. It was muggy, and that's a really old building too. And they said, oh, the air conditioners went out, and the air conditioners are probably on top of the roof. But yeah, because, you know, that's where I think where the smell's coming from, on top of the roof. But it just permeated the whole bank. And so that's exactly what it kind of smelled like a mechanical. So anyway, the aliens was trying to copy off that because they already knew I knew what that smelled like. And it was this really gross smell, and that was only on the first floor when we were standing there. And then the next thing I know, we get into the elevator, which was straight ahead, and we got into the elevator, and we actually got into it and everything. And then as we went up to the 5th floor, I looked out there, it was all glass, you know, at the front of the elevator, or what, behind or whatever. It was, I mean, the back of the elevator was, I mean, there was the doors, and then the back of the elevator was all window apparently, because when we got up to the 5th floor, I looked outside, you know, I looked out, and it was all of this was very vivid, virtual reality, and I saw kind of like the top of the trees, and kind of top of some hills and some trees, and like I say, it was beautiful and very vivid, and that part was like really cool. Okay, so then so that's why I put that picture in here, because that's kind of like the top of the trees, you know, but I kind of like saw some hills too. I don't know how to explain it. And then so we go over to the right, so me and Nancy go over to the right, and we go into the IRS office. And there are some other offices in real life, like on the 3rd floor and stuff like that. But in the scenario, I didn't go to, we just went on the 1st floor and then all the way up to the 5th floor, to the IRS office. And so I went inside, so me and Nancy went inside, and the first thing I noticed, I was just like, wow, it was like huge. It was, and I'm sure in real life it's probably not that big, but it was just one big huge square, and it was just all glass windows. I mean, from bottom to top, all glass, like windows. And in real life, Nancy said, you know, there was a lot of glass windows and stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I don't know, I guess it would be on the 5th floor, but this was literally like all glass, like windows. From top to bottom, like over to the left, straight ahead. And then, but in back of me, that's where the counter was, and the counter behind me was pretty dang big. That's where some employees were helping the taxpayers. So that part wouldn't have been glass. But over to the right, like when I first saw it and everything, yeah, all of those 3 sides was all, you know, just all glass. And like glass windows, and over to the right, straight ahead, and over to the left. And the ceiling, oh my God, it really didn't have a ceiling. It was really, really, really tall ceiling. The ceiling was so high, it was like as high as a freaking, like, I don't know, like a warehouse, or just a very, very tall warehouse. It was super tall, the ceiling. the ceiling was so tall. I mean, there really wasn't a ceiling. That's how big it was. And but yeah, it was just like one big massive square room, basically, just one big massive square room. And I would say, oh my God, if this house is 1,000 square feet, oh man, I don't know, I would say 7,000 square feet, maybe? 1, 2, yeah, I don't know, maybe. So the whole, but of course it seemed bigger, like it was probably 6,000 square feet, maybe 7,000 square feet, but of course it seemed bigger, you know, because it did not have ceilings. Well, it had ceilings, but they were so high, you could barely see the ceilings. You know, whenever you go into a place that has vaulted ceilings, it's going to seem bigger. And so basically, I was walking around, and I was observing, and I noticed all the tables, and the, like, they weren't cubicles. That's the funny part. In this scenario, they weren't cubicles. It was just all a bunch of, like, picnic-looking tables or whatever. Like, I don't know, 7 or 8 in the middle of the room. And there were people standing around, and there were some people sitting and everything. And the first thing I thought was, are these, you know, are these taxpayers or are these like workers? Because because I knew, you know, in the scenario, I knew in real life that there was only 1 or 2 employees ever in there, maybe 3. And so I thought that was kind of odd that there was at least, you know, 14 people sitting there and standing around in the middle of the building, in the middle of the room. So that part wasn't quite clear. I'm not sure if they were workers or if they were taxpayers or both. That wasn't quite clear. But anyway, but it was just kind of funny because I'm like, why is there so many people, you know? And but the employees, like there was 2 like behind the counter behind me. Those were employees. And over to the right, at one point, I sort of like didn't see the glass any longer, you know, way over to the right. I mean, I didn't see those glass windows over to the right any longer that second time around when I looked over to the right. And then all of a sudden there were some more picnic-looking tables, and there were some employees, you know, like sitting there helping taxpayers. And then one of the women, I saw her, and she just kind of looked at me like she knew that I had never been there before, and she looked familiar. And I knew she was either a manager or like a work leader. I knew that. And then Nancy was like walking around, and she oh yeah. So she was walking around with me, and then all of a sudden she said, you know, like when I looked over at that employee, the one that looked like a work leader or manager, she's like, Nancy was like, oh, she's like what'd she say? The walking. She said that she was like the walking textbook or something like that. It was like, she didn't say walking encyclopedia, walking textbook. And I knew what she meant by that. I knew that she knew a lot, you know, about her job or whatever. I knew that that's what she meant, you know, when she said she was a walking textbook. And I thought that was kind of funny and everything. Because, you know, in real life, people, what are you doing, Simba? And in real life, people have said that about my old boss that died or whatever, that he knew a lot and was like a walking encyclopedia or something like that. And yeah, and so that was kind of funny. And also I could have I could have, at first I was kind of like Nancy, like why did you leave, you know, this town and go to my town when it's so beautiful here? I was just, the whole scenario, I was like, it's so beautiful in you know, in Joplin. And like I wouldn't mind living here, and the energy, that's what I'm saying. I think that aliens can somehow alter the energy, and then when you get up, like all day long, you feel like you're on top of the world. And then, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it, because it was just so fun, man. And then, and you know, because I'd look outside and it would be like sunny, and you know, I'd see all the beautiful trees and everything, and it was just so beautiful. And at one point, I went over to the corner of the building, and I looked out another window, and then I saw some, you know, some like older houses, and I was just like, wow, those are, you know, beautiful old houses. And I was just thinking like, wow, I wouldn't mind living here, you know, you know, like if if I had to or whatever, or but I knew that that I wouldn't, because my other town was my hometown or whatever. But and so I was just kind of like couldn't understand why Nancy left. But then in the scenario, I knew why she left, but I would still have thoughts like, why did you leave, Joplin or whatever. And but I knew even in the scenario why she left, just because she didn't like that little bitty town she lived in, and to get her grandson in a better school. And I knew all of that in the scenario. But it was just like so beautiful, and I thought it was the most awesome town. And I know Joplin is not, most likely, you know what I'm saying? And and I remember I was like 9-10 years old, and my grandma was taking me to Kansas City to play with my cousins. And I think we did go, we may have went a different route back then and went through Joplin or something. I can't remember. But she said Joplin had like the highest amount of gay people. She told me that, and I was like 9 or 10 years old. I don't know if that's really true or not, or if that was just true back then or whatever. But yeah, so in the scenario, okay. So, okay, as we started walking around, eventually I sat down at a table, and all nice and orderly, I put like my cell phone, and I put some, like a cell phone, a pen, and my sunglasses laying there on the table. And when we were going to leave, I was going to leave it there, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not coming back here, why would I leave it there? Well, eventually I put the stuff, in my purse. And another part of and this scenario, it lasted quite a long time. It lasted more than, 20 minutes. But it lasted a long time. And another part of the scenario, walking around. And I went over to, where I said, when I went inside and straight ahead and to the left and to the right, that was all glass windows and stuff. Well, over to the left, oh shit, oh, it's raining. Damn, it hasn't rained in a long time. Yeah, so over to the left was a small little waiting room, and at first I looked at it and I was like, that's for Native American Indians, for that little waiting room. I somehow knew it was for Native American Indians. And the aliens they're always putting stuff like that in my scenarios about Indians or whatever. Well, they probably ran with it whenever I found that, what's it called? That, what's it called? I forgot what it's called, but so anyway, but I eventually, like, I went inside after I knew that it was like for Native American Indians. I went inside it, and it was just a small little room, like let's see, 8 foot by 8 foot room, little waiting room for like little kids or whatever. And then I noticed it was just kind of real dirty looking, like the carpet was dirty, and it was just brown ugly color, and it was just dirty and like soggy and soiled and crap. And it was like a little waiting room, either for kids or children and for adults or whatever. And I don't remember seeing any chairs, but it was like a waiting room, a very small waiting room. And well, like I say, the aliens been putting like Indian stuff in my scenario, and like I said, maybe it's because back in 2012, I found that thing in my yard, and I know it's Indian. It's some kind of Indian thing, but I forgot that word. What's it called? Indian artifact. That's what it is. I found that little Indian artifact in my yard, 9 years ago or whatever. And so maybe that's why the aliens starts putting Indian, putting Indian stuff in my scenarios. And so so that was one part of the scenario. And then okay, so then, okay, this is kind of weird, but all of a sudden Nancy kind of, like, all of a sudden she turns into Angie, so to speak. I don't know where Nancy went. She probably went walking around somewhere, but then all of a sudden I'm interacting with Angie instead of Nancy. And so the last 20% of the scenario, I was with Angie. And even in the scenario, there again, I was like, okay, why am I, like, hanging out with you? Because you're supposed to be dead. And And as far as I remember, she did say something like, you know, like, well, I'm not, or whatever. So anyway, so, yeah, and so as we were about to leave, you know, Angie was with me. And then we go back out of the IRS, and we go to the elevator, and that's when I leaned down, and I looked into my purse, and I just wanted to make sure, like, all my jewelry and stuff was in there. Apparently I had taken some of my jewelry off, and I was picking it up off the floor and just making sure that it was, like, in my purse and everything. I was, yeah, because I had, I can't remember why I took it off or whatever, but it was, like, on the floor, and I was, of the elevator, and I was picking it up, putting it in my purse, and making sure my other stuff was in my purse, like my, you know, my cell phone and the sunglasses and stuff like that. And then, okay, I know this was the end of the scenario, even though the alarm went off right at 6:30 a.m. Well, the day before I actually set it for 6:45, but this morning I set it for 6:30, and like because as I leaned down and was picking up my rings, putting them in my purse and everything, and just making sure everything was in my purse or whatever, or on my fingers or whatever, like the alarm, like you know, I heard the alarm, but I know that was the end of the scenario. So I don't feel like I got prematurely, you know, jumped out of the scenario or whatever. I just know that was the end of it. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, the alarm went off right at the ending of the scenario. But it was like such a blast. And I mean, it was just amazing. And seeing what I'm saying is just normal, boring things. But I have experiences like this time and time again. We're just walking around doing normal, boring things. And the aliens, they could just like alter the energy and just make, you know, make the energy feel so awesome. Like you're in another world, another dimension. And it just feels awesome. Or maybe you really are in another dimension. I don't know. But, well, I guess you really are in a way, because this dimension's going to be, or supposed to be fake or whatever. So, if all dimensions are fake, then they're all real too. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so, but yeah, it was like freaking fun. Let me make sure I said everything. Let's see. 5th floor, all glass window, tables, small Native American weight room. Yeah, I think I pretty much said everything, but yeah, I like to talk about it when they're very clear in my head, but it was a blast, man. Hopefully I'll get another good one. And I slept really good last night too. But hopefully I'll get another good one this morning. But yeah, I'm telling Joel to give me some sexual scenarios. The good thing about that is, when he gives me sexual scenarios, like I mean, he'll be on a roll and give them to me like 7, 8 days in a row, man. Okay, well, thanks for listening.